First time, thank you for the
Welcome.
interview.
Glad to be here.
Yes. Well, my first question is, what are martial art for you? What is the scene, or what you can, what you...
What do I do? What have I trained in?
Yes.
Well, a lot of martial arts actually over years. I started in judo and jiu-jitsu in 1963. Later karate 1965, and then in kendo 1970, and I've just kept all those going over the years. So it's a combination of karate, judo, jiu-jitsu, kendo, and I studied kung fu, white crane, and some other systems, tai chi in the university. Something I've been involved with all my life, for now about 53 years.
And you use combine this style in the same class? In the same method?
Well, some classes are specifically judo and jiu-jitsu, some classes are more karate. Over the years I've taught different ways. Now I do not have a school of my own because I'm retired, but I'm living part-time. My wife and I live part-time in the United States, part-time in Spain. And I manage the National Federation of the United States Jiu-Jitsu Federation, and also the USA Traditional Kodokan Judo. And those two activities keep me pretty busy when we're not on holiday.
Okay. And if you can say the martial art in only word, what is this word?
If I were to say it in one word,
Yes.
discipline.
And why?
Because I think discipline keeps your focus where your goals are established, both your short and your long-term goals in life. And for me, it gave me the focus and the discipline to stay on track with what I wanted to accomplish in life. Be it the university, be it the military. For about a dozen years, I was the director of the YMCA and part-time military. Later, I went back into the military full-time. And so I had a long career in the military as well, but the martial arts has always helped me to discipline myself and focus on my goals and objectives.
The next. Sorry, but what do you think about the competition?
I'm sorry?
What do you think about the competition? In judo, in martial art, different...
Well, I think that there's a place for combat sports, be it karate or be it judo, or taekwondo, or some of the other, or jiu-jitsu even, and we have competition in all those areas. Some are Olympic, some are not Olympic yet, some may become Olympic later. I think there's a place for sport, but I think too much emphasis on sport has happened, and there's been a lack of focus on the traditional martial art, and that's one reason that I'm focused on traditional judo. Traditional Kodokan Judo, because I think that sport judo has gone so far away from the original martial art that Professor Kano created, that I'm in favor of protecting the martial arts for future generations, because I think it's so important.
Me too. And do you think, for example, the competition is good for a child, but when the child was teenager and was very old, is better the self-defense, because he is complete?
I think the sport has its place. I think sport is a piece of the pie. I think it's a slice of the pie, and I think sport has its place. It's good when you're young, and maybe when you're a young adult, maybe when you're younger, when you're a teenager. But I think that if you don't include the martial art part of it, you're missing out. And if you injure yourself and you can't continue the sport, but you didn't learn the martial arts, the self-defense and the other skills, and other philosophies and values of martial arts, then you have no place to go. And a lot of people do the sport and then they drop out. Not everybody stays in martial arts for a lifetime. I started out with 100 people in my school back in 1960s, and I don't think any of those people are involved today. I'm probably the only one out of 100 people that I can think of that are still involved in martial arts. So, it thins out as time passes. Not everybody has the focus or the time to focus, or the discipline. And so it's not for everyone as a lifetime, but it is an excellent way to establish your goals and become successful, and also make a contribution to our society. I think that's important.
It's combined.
That's right.
Next. Uh, do you think the judo or jiu-jitsu is harmful to oneself? Is good for the self-defense, or it's better than other styles when you can defend it or yourself?
Do I think is jiu-jitsu better for self-defense or than
Yes,
some of the
to
other martial arts?
defense in the real situation is better than or judo, jiu-jitsu than other martial
Yeah,
arts.
I think jiu-jitsu is, if jiu-jitsu is practiced as the way it was originally planned to be comprehensive, both the self-defense, the empty hand, the weapons, the physical training. I think if you train for all the different aspects of self-defense, then it's excellent. If you just learn to kick and punch, and that's all you can do, then what happens if someone grabs you? You know, you need to know how to escape from techniques and how to throw a person away so you can escape if that's what you need to do to protect yourself. But I think that jiu-jitsu, as a comprehensive style of martial art, is excellent. I think karate and judo by themselves are excellent, but they have certain limits. If you don't include the throwing, the holds, the locks, the chokes, some of the grappling, if you don't include all that into it, you're missing something. So I think it's important to be comprehensive as much as possible.
What do you think about the state of mind when you start in I don't know, in a problems or in a real situation? Is important the mind, or what is the most important in your mind?
I think that martial arts
State of
helps
mind.
to
When you start in I don't know, in a problems or in a real situation, is important the mind, or what is the most important in your mind?
I think that martial arts helps to train the mind as well as the body to deal with stress, to deal with to act quickly, to make decisions, and to work and to take action on those decisions, be it self-defense or it be a decision in your career or your family. I think martial arts helps you to discipline yourself and to get through difficult times. And I think that in itself is very important.
And do you think in your normal life, when you know in fight or in other place, when you are in your work or in other, it's important the mind to motivate?
I think so. I think that we all go through stress. We all have problems and issues in family or work or anything. Or maybe it's you're being in a hostile situation on the street. You might be attacked, or you might have someone that's a bully, and you have to be able to control yourself, and you have to be able to take the right action. And I think martial arts can be something that helps you to learn to be able to take the right actions and be able to control yourself, and when you have to, defend yourself.
What do you think about the traditional weapons? For example, kobudo or kenjutsu, or the weapon in martial art, in traditional martial art?
Well, I think weapons in the martial arts is as natural as learning how to kick and punch, because I think the weapons teach you how to control both a tool for weapon. I mean, be it an ancient martial art like the samurai, the katana, the sword, or it might be a pistol. But I think learning the different weapons is important. Today, these weapons have changed some. Today, we have pistols, we have rifles, and in the United States, people can own weapons and can protect themselves. Not every country allows that to happen, but we get into a whole conversation about weapons. But I think weapons teaches you something that you can't learn without. For me, I studied Kendo. Kendo taught me posture, taught me to focus, maybe even more so than Judo and Karate. And it taught me to have proper posture. And that posture fit in with all the other things that I was doing and helped me to be a better teacher and be able to defend myself better. So I think even if you only learn different aspects of the martial arts through weapons, that's very positive.
Do you think it's real to fight when you don't put weapon and the other person put weapon and attack you? It's real. I have a knife and I attack you. is real defense or is very hard or very
Well, I think anytime someone has a weapon and you don't, they have an advantage. If you have learned how to block and how to deal with weapons and you don't panic, I mean, when you panic and someone has a weapon, you know, you're going to get hurt or killed. If you can keep your presence of mind and you can protect yourself, you can block their attacks, you can avoid it, you can maintain your balance. These are all things that'll help you survive an attack by a knife. You know, if someone comes up behind you and starts stabbing you, you know, it may be too late. But if you're alert and you stay alert to what's your surroundings, you may be able to see the attack come before it gets too close. So I think that martial arts can help you to stay alert and how to deal with an attack. And you know, if someone stabs with a knife and you understand how to grab and how to control that wrist and how to dislocate or how to disarm that person, and you've been trained in that, you know, you can save your life or you can save your family's life or friends or whoever you're with. So I think learning to defend yourself against weapons is also very important. Hopefully you never have to use it, but if you ever do, you know, you don't panic and you can defend yourself.
This is the most difficult. Well, one of my teachers says to me, there aren't self-defense with knife. Only the person can't use the knife or isn't very skilled to use the knife.
Well, you know, there are a lot of skills on how to use weapons, and if a person has a skill and they attack someone who doesn't have the skill, that person who doesn't have the skill is probably going to get cut or killed. But I think, you know, in jiu-jitsu, many teachers are trained in how to defend against weapons, and they maybe learned how to use weapons as well. And when you know how to use a weapon, you also know how, you know, what are different ways to protect yourself against that particular type of weapon. So I think that defend yourself against weapons is part of self-defense. And I hope that when I grew up, that life would be peaceful and the world would be a better place to live. Unfortunately, I see a lot of violence and a lot of hate, and so it's important to know how to defend yourself. You know, we see it every day, and there are people who were injured and even killed in Egypt on a beach. They were on a resort vacation. People were walking across the bridge in London and attacked by someone with a knife, or you know, or run over by a car. You know, that's a heck of a weapon. And but if you're alert and you can see it coming, maybe you can get out of the way. Martial arts teaches you not to panic and how to try to take the right action for the situation.
Did you have to use jiu-jitsu in any real life situation?
Have I? No, I think I had a few rough experiences when I was younger and I was in college, and you know, but I've never had any time where I had to defend myself against life or death. No, but you know, I've also trained myself so that if that ever happened, I would be able to make a good stand. I don't know if I would survive, but I certainly would do my best. And I think I have the skills and the focus to be able to have an advantage on someone who has no training. You know, the chances of my survival is a lot better than someone who's never trained in martial arts or only knows a tiny bit. You know, I'm 67 years old, but I'm still able to move around pretty smooth. And a lot of people 67 years old that can't move at all hardly because they haven't taken care of themselves. So I think that even though you may not have to defend yourself in real life, just the ability to do so is important.
Okay. What do you think about the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? And nowadays it's the most popular Jiu-Jitsu in Spain and in USA, I suppose. I don't know what. Normally, or in Brazil, it's more popular than the other. What do you think about the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Are you asking which style of Jiu-Jitsu or just about the popular growth of Jiu-Jitsu?
Brazil.
The popular growth of Jiu-Jitsu? Well, I have been around Jiu-Jitsu for many years, and for the last 20 years I've been president of the United States Jiu-Jitsu Federation. I've been to Asia, I've been to Europe many times for competition and different training events like today's seminar, and I find that the numbers are growing, the interest is growing, the quality is getting better and better. I see the sport of judo in the United States has gone downhill as has gotten lower because the skill level is not where it needs to be. I think the seriousness of training martial arts and the skill level of teachers is much higher in Europe as well as in Asia. There are certainly good teachers and very qualified people in the United States, but overall I think that Europe has taken on a much serious approach to training martial arts. I find, I go to Holland, for example, and there's some excellent judoka there. I come to Spain, I find excellent karateka and jiu-jitsuka, and I'm very excited about the opportunity to travel and meet other martial artists. And so I think the growth of martial arts in general is still very strong. The fact that karate has become an Olympic sport, that may or may not help karate as a martial art, but I think it probably will do better than judo because karate is still looked at and has been so long as a martial art, and just now is becoming a sport as far as the Olympics. And so I think that it's had time to mature more so than maybe judo had, because judo was hardly even active until the 60s, and then it got into the Olympics, in the 80s. So I'm not sure exactly what years it were, but 64, I think they had the Olympics start with judo. So it's been a sport for a long time, but it didn't have as long a time to spread across the world as a martial art as much as it had as a sport. Karate has, for example, has spread across the world more as a martial art, and now it has become a sport as well. So it's kind of reverse of judo. I think that the growth is excellent. I'm excited to be part of it.
Okay. For example, the family races is the foundation of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And what do you think about the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? They only work in the ground and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in general.
Are you talking about jiu-jitsu in family units, with the family being involved, like the mother and father and the children being involved in jiu-jitsu in the school environment?
Jiu-Jitsu.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Because, I wasn't sure if you were talking about judo and jiu-jitsu as being related to martial arts, which they are, but you're talking about more the family involvement in martial arts and jiu-jitsu, whatever. I think that it's excellent.
What is your opinion about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Oh,
Brazilian.
was that the question? Okay, I'm sorry. I
Brazil,
I think it's
from
important for
Brazil.
the family to be involved in martial arts with the children. That's certainly important. My response about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has become a very popular sport. It is not very relative or realistic for self-defense. If you and if I'm a karateka and you're a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, and I'm going to use sport rules against you, and that means I have to wear gloves and pads and everything else, and I'm going to do this while you're trying to tackle me, you're probably going to tackle me, and you're going to go top of me and put me in a hold. But if I'm using martial art karate, where I can strike and break your nose or do some serious damage, then maybe you're not going to be so successful. But Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as a sport, is very popular. In the United States, every high school, every college, university has got a wrestling program, and now they're picking up, and they're in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So there's a lot of grapplers that like to wrestle. And the very first night that you go to a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school, you can get out on the mat and you can wrestle, you can grapple, you can BJJ, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so what they've done is they take wrestling, they add locks and chokes, and they put on gi and they call it Jiu-Jitsu. But it's only one part of Jiu-Jitsu, it's just the grappling side. And, the rank requirements is, you have to learn this hold, this escape, this lock, this choke, but I mean, it's a small part of Jiu-Jitsu. There's no striking to speak of, there's no throws. You watch a contest, the guys are down, squatting down with their heads low, trying to wrestle. It doesn't look much like anything except wrestling, except you're wearing a gi. Or maybe you're in a non-gi competition with it, and they look exactly like wrestlers. So I think it's popular for people that like that, but I think it's a long ways from martial arts.
It's only a sport.
It's more of a sport than anything. But they've added belts and made rank requirements.
30 segundos.
And they made something into something that's similar to a martial art. But it's popular because it's wrestling, and people love to wrestle. Kids like to wrestle on the floor the first, when they're with their brothers and sisters. Everybody learns to grapple long before they learn how to punch or kick, and there's no kata. It's very freestyle, it's very loose, and you can do it the first night. You go to judo class, if it's a real judo class, you have to learn how to break the fall. If you're in a karate class, you have to learn how to kick.
Okay. But the next question, what do you think about the Kyuso? Kyuso about the vital points and hitting the...
Oh, about the jiu-jitsu competition, the sport jiu-jitsu with
No, the Kyuso, the vital points, the hitting vital points,
Are we talking about karate
in general.
or just striking
Yes.
competition? Oh, well, I think
Kyuso,
with with proper training, it's a good program. Now, the International Jiu-Jitsu Federation has competition. Jiu-Jitsu competition, they call it Jiu-Jitsu fighting or Jiu-Jitsu kumite. It starts out striking, kicking, punching like a judo match, like a karate match. And then once you make contact, kicking and punching stops, then it's more like a judo match. That type of competition has been going on now for quite some time, maybe the last 15, 20 years. And they have an international federation for that. I have been very active with that in the past. And I think it's excellent competition. The problem is that a lot of schools really don't train the full striking, kicking, punching, striking, and throwing, and grappling. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu does grappling only. The other schools, some do self-defense, and a few schools are doing sport Jiu-Jitsu where they do all three. So it's still small compared to the total number of traditional Jiu-Jitsu. In our federation, United States Jiu-Jitsu Federation, majority of our schools are traditional Jiu-Jitsu, focused on self-defense and developing the martial arts philosophies and values and things. Competition is still very small in the USA. In Europe, the Jiu-Jitsu federations that are tied in with the sport, they have government funding. They have, some of them are tied in with the Olympic organizations. For example, France, Judo Federation also has sport jiu-jitsu inside it. Spain, the Spanish World Judo Federation also includes jiu-jitsu, and they compete in the competition under the International Federation. So it's very well organized in Europe. It's still small in USA, and in Brazil, and USA is primarily focused on Brazilian jiu-jitsu, the sport of grappling. So.
Okay. When do you hit in the nerve or in vital points? Okay.
Well, I mean, as far as the striking for points,
the Kyuso is
I think
dangerous.
I think that unless they wear some sort of pads, it's dangerous. The jiu-jitsu competition that has the striking, they wear gloves where they're free for gripping, but they have padding across here, and so striking is limited to the pads. Now, if you hit someone and cause bleeding, it's grounds for disqualification. So you have to be very careful. Striking the body is a lot safer because it can take a blow as opposed to the nose or face. And so the minute you start punching towards the head, you're a good chance of being disqualified. I personally don't like boxing. I think boxing is too brutal. I think MMA is very brutal. UFC is very brutal. I don't think it has anything to do with martial arts. I'm a martial artist, so I focus on another part of it. Combat sports, most of them don't have a great reputation right now because there still has a lot of safety problems. But the jiu-jitsu competition, it has possibilities because it has the padding and it limits the striking to only before contact's made, and then it becomes more like a judo match with the throwing, grappling, holding, so forth, choking. So I think the striking is good, but it has to be under good rules and regulations.
About real situation, for example, I don't know, a few years ago, the Pantachi system, you know the Pantachi? The Kyuso system, the vital point, is more was popular in USA and the army and the... No?
Well, they had some jiu-jitsu systems where they were saying, they were hit certain spots and it would knock somebody out and that kind of thing. I think that had its interest. I don't think it's as popular now as it was. I personally don't know any schools that are doing the knockout type of training. There's some out there, but they're very small, very limited number. I'm not involved with that, so I really don't have much opinion, really.
Question. Well, the next is the finish. What advice would you give to the practitioner or judo jiu-jitsu? What is the
What
most
advice?
greatest?
Well, I think start young, but not too young, because I think these schools that have very small children, maybe they're bringing young people in and teaching them some tumbling skills and some fun, throwing punches and kicks and stuff and rolling around the mat, but they really aren't mentally mature enough to really take on the knowledge and the responsibility that comes with it until they're older. I personally didn't start till I was 13. I thought that was a good age to start. Some people at 13 are not mature enough to really take it on seriously. I hate to see someone start out at 5 and then when they're 15 they get a black belt or a brown belt. Oh, I've done what I want to do and they're gone. I'm much more interested in seeing someone get started at the right age and make it a lifetime activity. I think that makes more sense, and that's just my own personal observations.
Okay, so this is finished. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. My pleasure. And I look forward to coming back and spending more time here in Spain. Thank you.
I will see you.
All right.